Also, this weekend was the commemoration of the 97th anniversary of the start of the Armenian Genocide. There was a march that I went to, a walk that I went to on Saturday. There also was an event I went to on Wednesday in Washington, D.C. A lot of thoughts there. It was worthwhile. The Philadelphia one, I had a little bit better feelings after than the Washington one, which I'm slightly cynical about, but I'm not going to get into that right now. In part, I'm not going to get into it because helping me out today, as he's helped produce some aspects of the show, is Dave Peavy. He is sitting in here, and he did some reporting. He's not Jewish, so it wasn't the Sabbath for him. He did a lot of reporting and just taking pictures, everything, talking to a lot of people at the Armenian Genocide Walk in Philadelphia this past Saturday. Dave, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me on, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, I know you're from Georgia. You didn't grow up with many Armenians, but give me your impression. Actually, why don't you share a little bit of a report for people who were not able to be there?
Sure. Thank you, Adam. Well, the event, while a somber occasion, or commemorating a somber occasion, was almost like a family reunion. It was well organized. The weather was beautiful for the walk.
Yeah, they actually had the rain sight. They were wrong about that.
Right. But overall, my take on the issue was this is something that one cannot let this go unnoticed, unrecognized, as the second worst tragedy of a genocide type of situation in modern history, and our nation doesn't even refer to it as genocide.
Yeah, neither does Israel, for that matter.
Right. And Turkey certainly doesn't.
No, that's the really big deal, that they don't really mention it all occurred. And speaking of Turkey, for me, and I think a lot of the crowd there, the highlight was the guest speaker, which was the main guest speaker, which was a little different this year than usual in the sense that he was Turkish.
Correct. Dr. Taner Aksum was actually imprisoned in Turkey in his youth for speaking out on these issues, and fled to Europe, where he was awarded a PhD from the University of Hanover.
Amnesty International got him out.
Correct. And he spent time as the associate professor of Holocaust and Genocide Studies from the University of Minnesota, and just gave a great keynote address on the situation overall in its commemoration 97 years later. If I were to boil the entire 20 or so minute address down to one quote of his, it would be when he said, "There will never be a true democracy in Turkey, and never a healthy democracy in Turkey, which accordingly leads to a stable Middle East, as long as the issue of Armenian genocide is not officially recognized and dealt with openly."
Yeah, he made a lot of powerful points there that that caught people off guard, and he's a historian. He's written books, and I learned a lot about Turkey outside of the Armenians during the speech.
Indeed. Well, and I learned a great deal about Armenian culture. The Juma band that was gave a terrific performance, and there was dancers as well. It was overall very, very well done event.
Yeah. Any other key takeaways you had?
Well,
I don't think our guest is on the line yet, so
sure. On the walk, I had a chance to chat with Paul Sukazian and Vic Basilanian, who are the respectively co-chair of the committee and a member of the walk committee. They provided me with an absolutely quite concise delineation of the events of why they thought the recognition hadn't occurred.
And what were their reasons?
Well, first of all, there was the political aspects leading up to the Second World War. Then, for the next almost half century, Armenia was part of the Soviet Union.
Right. Or at least the eastern part.
Correct. And of a long history of covering up mass graves, that type of thing. And then post-Soviet Union, there's been quite a bit of pressure from Ankara on U.S. diplomats to keep this issue under wraps. I had a chance to chat with Reverend Nishan Baklanian, who's pastor of the Armenian Martyrs Congregational Church in Havertown, locally. Very conscientious gentleman, wanted to ensure that he was speaking to me only on his behalf. He wasn't speaking for his congregation, wasn't speaking for the committee. But he actually mentioned that he was of the opinion that Turkey was de facto recognizing the genocide by admitting that there was another side to the story.
Yeah. No, it was a really substantive event. And again, thank you for reporting and everything you did there.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah. And I would say, in Washington, it was a little bit more politicians pandering. No one would say the word Islam or jihad, which at least the Turkish historian did say, or he said Islam a few times, and he didn't pretend it didn't exist.
Jihad,
that was the problem. Yeah, well, I mean, okay, it's a loaded term, but he at least did bring it up. But it was a little less political pandering, and I really said to myself, and we're going to play a clip in a second, I really felt in Washington there were a lot of very positive aspects, but I felt a lot of the speeches were poorly thought out, and I felt like I was hearing Senator Pat Geary in The Godfather Part 2. I always use those references, and Tim can roll the clip, what I'm talking about here.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to verify the witness's statement. For years now, a growing number of my constituents have been of Italian descent, and I come to know them well. They have honored me with their support and with their friendship. Indeed, I can proudly say that some of my very best friends are Italian Americans.
Now, the context of that, of course, is he did not like Italian Americans in Nevada very much at the beginning of the movie. And they planted a dead prostitute in the room with him in Nevada. And suddenly he changed his tune very much publicly, at least. But not implying anything of that sort occurred. It was just, yes, Armenian Americans have made so many contributions. But, I thought there were some excellent speeches, especially by the two Armenian American congresswomen. And actually, Democratic Congressman Elliot Engel even said Turkey has to get their act together, and there are not a lot of Armenians in his district in the Bronx. He talked about how Turkey shouldn't even be part of NATO. And, but there were a few too many pandering speeches and not as much substance as I would have liked. But, hey, give those Congress people credit as opposed to the ones who weren't even there, and we have a little problem with that with Senator Bob Casey. Anyhow, Dave, thank you for your report there, and I think we'll be going on to the next segment.
Thanks again, Adam.